Hello and welcome back to the channel. Planning a cruise but don't know where to start or looking to pick up some new tips? You're in the right place. I've booked dozens of cruises on many different cruise lines all over the world, and today I'm walking you through my step-by-step process for how to choose and book the perfect cruise. Because let's be real, there are so many options out there and tons of decisions to make in the process. I'll also throw in some of my money-saving hacks to make your trip even better. Let's dive in. Welcome to World Wanderers.
We're Alicia and Will.
Come wander the world with us. The first step is to search for available cruises. You need to use a search engine site to figure out what's available for your dates, budget, location, and more. I like to go to Expedia Cruises, but you could use Priceline, Vacations to Go, Cruise Critic, or many others. Once I'm on Expedia.com, I'm going to go up and choose cruises. The first option is going to. So if I know I want to go specifically on like an Alaska cruise, I might choose that. But for this example, let's say I want to go to the Caribbean. I'm not just going to choose Caribbean because I wanted to show Mexico, Bahamas, Caribbean, whatever. So I'm going to leave that blank and it's going to show me all cruises going anywhere. Departing between. So let's say I know I have a specific week of vacation in April. Now, you might be tempted to say, okay, I have the 6th through the 13th available for my vacation, but that would show you every cruise departing between any of those dates. So if there's a cruise that departs on the 13th, that would be leaving on the last day of your vacation, which wouldn't make sense because then you wouldn't be back at work in time. So what you're going to do is just select the dates that you're okay with the ship leaving on. So if I know that I want a minimum of a 5-day cruise, I'm going to choose a vacation dates that leave between the 6th and the 9th. Then that'll give time for the cruise to be the rest of the week and then me to get back. So I'm going to hit done there. And then duration, I know I don't have 9 nights for vacation. So if it left on the first day of my vacation, I might be able to squeeze in 7 nights. So minimum, I'm going to up that to at least 4 because anything less than that is really too short for me. So I'm going to hit done and then I'm going to hit search. I like to make sure first that it's sorted by price. I could sort by cruise line if I want to later, but I like to see what cruises are going for on average as the cheapest price during my time period, because that'll give me kind of a baseline to know how much I'm going to be spending. I like to filter by departure port next. So I know that I'm not going to be flying to Europe for like a 4-day cruise. So I like to make sure that it's reasonable from where I would go to. So let's say Fort Lauderdale, because I know I'd fly to Florida would be fine. So Miami, that's also an option. And then maybe Port Canaveral and Orlando as well. So I'll hit apply there. You can also sort by cruise ship if you know exactly what ship you're trying to take, or you can sort by price as well. So I like to just scroll through at this point and see what options are out there. I'm seeing some Carnival, some MSC, some of the smaller Royal Caribbean ships. So I just like to hit view more and kind of scroll through the whole list and see if anything jumps out at me. Royal Caribbean Utopia of the Seas. That's one I know I've always wanted to go on. So let's hit book and see what options are available from that. I can see that for 2 adults, there's an inside cabin from $1,054 per person and a balcony cabin from $1,217 per person. So I like to, at this point, screenshot it, and then that's the baseline price that I know Expedia is charging. So from there, I kind of know that this is a good option for me and I want to look into this more. The second step is to research the ship and staterooms. To me, the ship and room can make or break the cruise. I personally would rather be on an amazing ship and go to Nassau for the 20th time as opposed to going on a nicer island on an old small ship. But in general, even if I'm specifically choosing a cruise for the port stops, I like to set my expectations at the right level. So the first thing I do is go to YouTube and look for a ship tour. Once I've found something that I want to look into further on Expedia, I then go to YouTube. So let's go to youtube.com. And then I'm going to search for Utopia of the Seas ship tour. From here, we can see that there are tons of videos giving us tours And I would watch one of those to see if this is a ship that I'd be excited about or if there's lots of stuff to do on it. This will give me a sense of the size of the ship, the vibe, its age, and whether it's been overhauled or revamped lately. In the same vein, I also like to check out the stateroom video tours. I'll go to YouTube and enter the ship name, stateroom tour, and the categories I'm looking at. This gives me a sense of how big the rooms are, the amenities, and if upgrading categories will be worth the extra money. Some inside cabins, for example, are done really well, and some feel like a terrible cave that I'd really love to avoid. So in this example, I'd search for Utopia of the Seas, and then let's say inside room first. So as you can see, there's a bunch of videos showing basically what the inside of the rooms look like, and you can kind of get a feel for if that would work for you. And then maybe I'd go back and see balcony room. And then I'd compare the room types and see if the extra money is worth it to me. For step 3, I always read ship reviews. The first place I look for this is cruisecritic.com/cruise ships. I'll leave a link in the description in case you want to bookmark it, but they're a great resource for reading reviews from past passengers. They'll tell you the good, the bad, and the must-knows about your ship. It'll give you a quick overview, a rating out of 5, photos, deck plans, and more. And of course, you can read individual reviews there as well. So for this example, I'd go to cruisecritic.com/cruise ships and then choose a ship. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the U's for Utopia of the Seas. You can see it's right there. And then I'll hit find a ship. So we can see Utopia of the Seas review. We can see that 44 people have reviewed it and it's a 4.5 out of 5. So that's pretty good. It's going to give us a little summary of it. It's going to show us some pictures. We've got the pool, restaurants, and then if we scroll back up to the top, we can actually read individual reviews from individual people. So looks like somebody wasn't super jazzed with it, but it wasn't terrible. Other people have been happy, bad with it. So I'd basically scroll through all these and see if the things that people are complaining about would be a deal breaker for me. I also like to look at dining and see what the different options are because like food for me is one of the big things. And then here's another place that you can see cabins and see basically what the vibe is here too, especially helpful if you didn't find what you were looking for on YouTube. So that's a place that I definitely always like to check. Another great resource if you're in the early stages of planning is Facebook groups. A lot of cruise ships have a dedicated Facebook group with past and current passengers, and you'll find some extremely honest feedback on there. It's also a good place to ask questions if you end up booking on that ship. Step 4 is compare prices and book. Now it's time to check prices. I start by going to the actual cruise line's website to see the official rate. In an ideal world, I'd always book through the cruise line website. They generally have the best customer service because anytime you need to modify something or need help, you don't have to go through a middleman. For example, if you book through Expedia, they're classified as your travel agent. So if you need to change something, you'll need to call Expedia, who will then have to call the cruise line on your behalf. This is usually a hassle, but can be worth it for the right discount. So I always start with the official cruise line website. They also sometimes offer discounts for perks you won't find elsewhere, such as military discount or Florida resident discount or a prior sailing discount. In my experience, they've also refunded me for price drops in certain cases when the price went down a month or two after I booked it. So for this example, we can see that the interior cabin is actually slightly cheaper on the Royal Caribbean website than it is on Expedia. And then the ocean view cabin, slightly more expensive. Balcony cabin, same price. So let's say for this example, we want to go with the balcony cabin. I'm going to hit continue because I want to click through all the way to the end to see what the real price actually is because I can't just double that and know that that's my final price. So let's say, cool, balcony starting from $12.17. I'm going to continue to room selection. Okay, we choose your neighborhood view balcony. That's fine with me. I don't really care where it is on the ship. So let's say I'm good with that. Let's click that. And then basically here's where it's going to make you enter all your information. But on the side over here is where we can view the actual summary of pricing. We can see that the cruise fare is this price. There's a discount going for the second guest because there's going to be more than one person in the room. That's almost always happening. So we can see that our total price is $2433.56. So that's the price that includes the taxes and fees as well. Now that we know the official price through the cruise line, I'll check out other sources as well. I normally look at Expedia, Priceline, and Costco if you're a member there as well to see what their prices are. Sometimes their price is significantly lower and it's worth the extra risk that I may create a hassle for myself later. And then pro tip, I always check at Rakuten to see if there's cash back. So if you're at Rakuten.com, you would search for, let's see, Royal Caribbean, for example. They don't have any cash back going on right now, but if I were booking directly through Celebrity Cruises, for example, they would give me 2% cash back. But let's say that I found a cheaper price for this cruise on Priceline. Let's see what they're offering. I can see that they're offering 2% back on cruises. So if it's the same price in this scenario, I might be willing to book through Priceline. The final step is don't be surprised by gratuities. Automatic gratuities are service charges added to your onboard account each day. These are typically per guest and are to cover tips for the crew members who assist you throughout your cruise. These charges ensure that staff members, such as your cabin steward, dining room servers, and behind-the-scenes workers, receive fair compensation for their service. Most cruise lines allow guests to modify or remove gratuities by visiting guest services. However, unless you're extremely dissatisfied and have received terrible service for some reason, it's best to leave them in place because this is basically how the super hardworking staff make their money. These charges do add up though, especially on longer cruises or if you're traveling with a larger family. Some cruise lines wrap this up into the booking price and some allow you to prepay gratuities, or sometimes they run a special with free gratuities. But no matter the case, make sure to factor this into your total price. The gratuities vary by cruise line and cabin type, so I always do a quick Google search or check the official cruise line website to get an up-to-date number. For this example, if you're traveling on a Royal Caribbean ship in a balcony cabin, the gratuities are $18.50 per person per day. So if you have a family of 2 going on a 5-day cruise, you'll be charged for 4 days worth of gratuities. That 5th day, you're just disembarking, so it doesn't count. So $18.50 per day times 2 people times 4 days equals $148. So be sure to factor that in. If you'd like to know more or see a breakdown of what each cruise line is charging for gratuities, the Points Guy has a really great recent article that I'll link in the comments. Now that you know exactly how to book your cruise, let's talk about some expert hacks to save money, score upgrades, and get the best perks on your trip. There are 2 key times to book if you'd like to get the best price. The first is booking early. If you know exactly when your vacation time is going to be next year, you can often get a great deal or included extras by booking far ahead of time. Or if you're on a cruise, and there are often next cruise deals where you'll get an onboard credit for putting a small deposit down for your next cruise. I rarely buy extras on a cruise ship, so I use this to pay for my gratuities, which saves me real money. I've also had plenty of experiences getting great deals at the last minute. If you're lucky enough to live in a place where you can drive to the port, it's even better because then your savings aren't offset by a more expensive last-minute airline ticket. My next tip is to sign up for cruise line newsletters. They often send discounted exclusives to your email, and it's easier to be on the lookout for a sale that will give your specific situation money off, like kids sail free or free internet and drinks. The same is true of the following them on social media for flash sales. Another hack is to consider repositioning cruise for crazy low prices. These one-way cruises happen when ships relocate to different regions for the season, like moving from Alaska to the Caribbean in fall. Since they don't follow a typical year-round itinerary, they're often priced much lower than regular cruises, sometimes as low as half the cost. Plus, they usually feature more sea days, making them perfect for travelers who love onboard activities and relaxing at a fraction of the price. Another tip is to join loyalty programs for perks like free Wi-Fi or onboard credit. Even if you don't frequently cruise with that line, I'm a big proponent of signing up for every loyalty program out there if it's free because there's no downside. Another hack that has worked really well for me in the past is booking a guaranteed cabin. What this means is that you won't know your exact stateroom number until a few days before sailing. Basically, they're guaranteeing you a room in the category you booked. So if you book a guaranteed balcony room, you don't know which balcony room you'll get, but it's guaranteed to have a balcony. The hack here is that 50% of the time I've been upgraded by one category because the staff had the flexibility to pick my room. For example, when I booked a regular balcony cabin on MSC last year, the ship wasn't full and they upgraded me to a balcony cabin with a private jacuzzi on the balcony, which would have been much more expensive to pay for out of pocket. Another time on Royal Caribbean, we booked a porthole cabin. They ended up assigning us one of the front of the ship where it looked down over this crew area on the bow of the ship, and I wasn't super crazy about it. I went down to guest services and politely explained how I really wasn't a fan of looking out at people. I really wanted to look out at the ocean. And was there anything they could do to switch me to a regular porthole room? They were so nice about it and switched me to a balcony room for no charge. Basically, as long as the ship isn't fully booked, this is a great strategy to get an upgrade if you're not particular about exactly where on the ship your cabin is going to be. And that's it. Do you have any other cruise booking tips or tricks to share? If so, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear about them. Thanks so much for watching. And if you found this helpful, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more travel tips. Safe travels.